Hello once again, I'm Kevin Turner from Real Estate Talk. Great to have you with us. You know, many people, or property owners, don't know just how wealthy they really are. They don't realise the potential they have to develop a property portfolio by using what's called lazy equity. Now, there are a few reasons for this, and to help us understand what those reasons are and maybe how you can harness that power, I've invited Michael Beresford, who is the Director of Investment Services at Open Corp, to explain. Hi, Michael.
G'day, Kevin. How are you?
Good, mate. Thank you for joining us. I'm really fascinated by this topic. Tell me firstly, what is lazy equity?
Yeah, look, simply put, lazy equity is equity in typically a person's home or in an asset that they have that they're not using. So to use a simple example, let's say a house is worth 500 grand. The bank will lend you 80% of the value of that, which is 400. If you've got a mortgage for 150, then there's actually 250,000 of lazy equity sitting in that property. Why it's so important is because if I said to you, Kevin, I'll give you, 250 grand today, and you can either invest it or you can put it in the garbage bag and bury it in the backyard for 20 years, what would you do? Every single person I've asked that question to in the last 10 years says I'd invest it, but only a very small percentage of people actually do that.
Is there some skill? Is there a way to unlock that lazy equity?
Oh, look, very simply, a little bit of paperwork and a little bit of effort. It's using the example I just went through, say that mortgage was with ANZ. You go back to ANZ and ask to establish what's called an equity loan. Some banks will call it a line of credit. Very similar thing, and it basically it costs you interest on that money, but it unlocks, say, 100 grand that you can put as the deposit costs towards an investment property.
What are some of the key things that you need to be aware of to understand just how much equity or lazy equity you have in your property?
Yeah, so the main thing is obviously understanding what the bank will value your property at. So typically banks will be conservative. It's not necessarily in line with the fair market value, but the bank will do a valuation assessment, take 80% of that, so you're not paying mortgage insurance on your own home, deduct the mortgage amount, which I'm sure most people would know what they've got, and the difference is money that they're able to access, provided the servicing side of things stacks up as well.
Does increased equity always lead to an opportunity to borrow more?
Yeah, provided the servicing calculators that the banks use, and they are getting tougher with these APRA changes, provided that you still satisfy those criteria, absolutely. So I guess what personally I've done with my own portfolio and what we talk to our clients about is that slowly and surely over time property values will increase. So taking equity out of a property is not something that only has to happen once. You might do it this year. In another 4 or 5 years, you might do it again. And you can take equity from different properties as well. So if you had half enough for one deposit from one property, you could take the other half from a separate property. It doesn't all have to come from the equity in one asset.
Do all the banks lend the same way, Michael?
Pre-GFC, pretty much they used to. Look, I'm not a licensed mortgage broker, so I won't talk about products, but the really important thing to understand is that you need to be persistent with finance. The lending landscape now, especially with these APRA changes, means that banks have their different niches and their different types of business that they try to attract. Some are very focused on acquiring investment business, and that provides opportunity. So it does require a bit of persistence, but a good mortgage broker that understands the lending structures for investment can be a real asset to your team.
You've made some great points about using that equity to build a portfolio. Now, are there any other points you can make on that topic?
Yeah, look, I guess really the key thing is just being consistently aware of what your equity position is. I know I started building my portfolio about 12 years ago, and time flies. So property values, when they move quickly, as most people in Sydney and more recently Melbourne would have seen. It pays, every 6 or 12 months at least. Just keep a finger on the pulse, see what your equity position is and what you can do in terms of building your portfolio.
There's another great topic I want to talk to you about, and we might come back and do that in another podcast because I think it might take a little bit of time, and that is, once you've established that portfolio, how can you live off that equity? And I know that many people ask me that question, so I wonder if we can come back at some future time and cover that topic, Michael.
Yeah, love to. We'll get the whiteboard out so that we can help everyone out there understand how it works. But that really harnesses the power of compound growth. And I guess the key question I get asked is, Michael, this is great. I've built a portfolio. How do I get my hands on the cold hard?
Yes.
Living off equity is a great way to do it, so I look forward to that.
Good. Okay, well, watch out for that one. That's coming up very soon. My guest has been Michael Beresford, Director of Investment Services at OpenCorp. Michael, thank you so much for your time.
Good to talk to you, Kevin.